Welcome back as we take a look at the starting goaltenders. Skistad for Norway and Trefilov at the other end of the rink for the Russians. As we've said, the Russians tied the Swiss in their opener 2-2. The Norwegians got hammered by the Czechs in their first game 6-1. Welcome back as we take a look at the starting goaltenders. Skistad for Norway and Trefilov at the other end of the rink for the Russians. As we've said, the Russians tied the Swiss in their opener 2-2. The Norwegians got hammered by the Czechs in their first game 6-1. Earlier on today, the Canadians struggled with that same Swiss team. They came up with a draw 1 apiece, and just a little over an hour ago, the Czechs beat the French 3-0. A fiery finish to that one. Let's see what happens with this game. I'm sure that Viktor Tikhonov, one of the most experienced and successful coaches in the history of hockey, will have had something to say about their first time out on the ice against Switzerland. So they'll be pumped up for this. Kovalenko was brought down by Biltvom, and the Norwegians are going to have to use tough tactics. As Jamnov brings it around in front of the goal, there's going to be a penalty on the play. I was about to say the Norwegians are going to have to use tough tactics to keep the Russians away from the front of the goal. Hooking is the call.
Right away, the Russians set up in the Norwegian zone, and we're going to see a lot of this tonight. The Norwegians during the Olympics played a very defensive style of game, looking for the counterattacks, not having a lot of confidence perhaps in their forwards, but they have some good young talent there. They're certainly not going to be pushovers by any means.
So a power play situation here in the first couple of seconds as Kovalenko drops it back. Mironov takes the one-timer, and that misses the goal. Mironov taps it into the corner, and right from the opening gun, it's the big red machine on the attack. A lot of noise in the background as Mironov pushes it in. Mironov takes the shot and gives it over to Khmilev. Khmilev got it back to Mironov, who gets it over again. Khmilev is calling for it. He gets the pass from a sharp angle.
Sharp angle shot came in there. You see the Russians throwing around well on top. You see the big shot coming here from the bottom. Khmilev, he was tapping his stick. He wanted that puck badly. I'm sure you're going to see that the likes of Bykov and Kumatov are sorely going to be missed on this power play. It's usually Bykov in the middle. He was the key man on the power play during the Olympics in Mirabel, and they've had to kind of plug a few holes there, but replacing those two guys is going to be a tough job.
Back to the blue, and still kept in, Zubov. Zubov, the return pass, dances along the blue line. The shot is there. Skistad goes back. Another shot comes in, and Skistad goes down, clears it away. Action all around the Norwegian goal. And this is just a sample of what is to come. Another bring down right in front of the goal. Bodies flying all over the place is Prokhalov and Barkov. Mix it up in the corner. Barchevsky eventually joins the fray. That's cleared out of the zone. Power play situation still for the Russians as that goes into the corner. And the Norwegians just happy to get it out of the zone. Zubov flips it over to the far side, and that's cleared away by Dahlstrom. Malakhov. A change of line as Petrenko gets out, races to the far side, gets it up to Kovalev. Kovalev is taken off the puck, and again the Norwegians whistle it down to Trefilov. 4 seconds on the penalty, 2:27 gone in the first period. Kovalev was the intended receiver. A big collision right at center ice. Injured Norwegian. Gunnarsson gets up slowly here.
You could see Jamnov cutting across the middle. Gunnarsson was lining him up. It was actually, he got the worst of that as Jamnov's stick came up and caught him right below the jaw, I believe. It has to give the Norwegians a little confidence early in this game, Paul. It was a little shaggy the first part of that penalty kill, but it came off pretty good at the end. And getting away with that at the start of the game is always good for a team to boost their confidence.
Jamnov wrestles with Thoresen on the blue line. The Norwegians eventually pick it up, bang it off the boards, and Kovalev goes in after his man. Zhitnik pushed all the way into Jakobsen. The Norwegians taking it forward. A deflection off a Kovalev's stick, and the puck is lying just inside the line as Jamnov, or Zhitnik rather, picks it up. Yushkiewicz taps it forward, and now the Russians come forward. The big red machine, 2-3 men over Kovalev. A chance for the shot. Jamnov was waiting for the rebound that didn't come. Kovalev couldn't get things going. A change of personnel for the Russians as Kachuk on the fourth line gets out there. And Viktor Tikhonov was one who likes to play all four lines throughout the entire match, and who's ever out there, if there is a penalty, they'll take the power play in most games.
You'll see a steady rotation by Tikhonov in this game, Paul. He's an experienced coach, and he knows that he has a lot of confidence in his four lines. He got four pretty balanced lines, and he can throw anybody out there at any given moment.
It's going to be an uphill struggle for Bengt Olsen and his boys from Norway.
There you see Buster Keaton behind the bench, as Dave King loves to call him. Great hockey coach, unless if you look at his results, he has to be a great hockey coach. 3 gold medals in the Olympics.
One or two new names on the Russian bench. Barkov for one, and he's one to watch out for. We also have Korolev. That shot comes in. Kasparidis. A nice pass over to the far side. A one-timer there from Khmelev. Khmelev is a stylish player. You're going to hear a lot from him before this tournament is over. The race now goes into the corner. Olsen going after it. That's pushed out to the hash marks. Khmelev takes a heavy hit right on the circle, and it's fired right back into Russian territory. Trifilev gets another touch as Kasparidis goes deep.
We've got the Norwegian team starting to come ahead here early in the second period. As I said before, I think killing that penalty off early in the period has given them a little confidence.
Whistle on the play. Let's take a look at the action again. Tripilov goes down. Face off now in the neutral zone. Johansson gets set. That goes all the way down to Skistad. The shadow comes from Kovalev. Prokhodov misses his check along the boards, and that's flipped in. And the Russians go back with Malakhov whistling that all the way along the boards. A chance now for Borchevsky. Giving it up to Prokhodov. He takes the shot. Skistad goes down, gets the pad on it. Prokhodov picks up the rebound in the corner. Fights off 2 men. Jakobsen is there to pin him against the boards.
Whistle's blowing. It's going to be a penalty on the play here. 5:27 gone in this first period. Things are starting to heat up a little bit. The Norwegians are starting to come ahead a little bit more. They're starting to look a little more confident. See the shot? Everybody seems to be trying to go 5-hole on Skistad coming in. Watch Skistad. He does have the big gap between his pads. The Russians have been shooting for it. There's been a couple of times they've almost been able to slip it through, but Skistad's been able to come up big every time.
Jamnov against Torrenson. A bouncing puck. Torrenson picks it up and comes forward. A backhand into the neutral zone. Zhitnik has to go back quickly. Another whistle on the play. Most of the action, as expected, has been on the Norwegian goal. Still no score in this one. Referee Gerhard Lichtenegger really hasn't had a lot to do so far, but a long way to go. We saw what happened in the game between France and Czechoslovakia. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it really exploded right at the end of the game. A massive punch-up, and we're still waiting to find out who will be sitting out, if anyone, the next game or 2 or 3. It wasn't the kind of thing we like to see, but it happened. Zhitnik gets it back. Jamnov, the return pass, can't hang on to it. The Norwegians taking it over the blue line, a bring down there. The whistle blows, and there's the indication from the German referee, hooking.
Well, they finally called the penalty announced 2 minutes ago there, Paul.
You must have a crystal ball here or something.
Every good coach should have a crystal ball, Paul. That's what happens with being a good coach. You have to know well ahead of the play exactly what's going to happen, so you get the right players out there at the right time.
Zhitnik goes into the box for hooking. And now we'll get a chance to see what the Russian or the Norwegian power play is made of.
Viktor Tikhonov, 12 times champions of the Russian League. He's a legend in the country, he really is. And he's one of those guys, he keeps announcing his retirement, but everybody just keeps hanging on, and he just says, well, maybe one more year, maybe one more year. He just can't let it go. He's having so much fun. Does he look like he's having fun out there?
He really does. Frank Sinatra, Viktor Tikhonov, they keep coming back. The Norwegians take it over the red, shoot it into Trefilov. He gets it out, not a great clearance from him. Trefilov goes out, that's in the net! Oh, a terrible clearance from the goaltender. And that's a power play goal. Let's look at this again.
What a gift by Trefilov. He had everybody coming in this way. There you can see the player cutting the puck off there, coming across. Puts it top shelf, makes no mistake about it. He was trying to pump that puck up the middle.
Cato Anderson gets it in the net. Whoa, Trefilov has been watching Ron Hextall.
He's been watching him, but he hasn't been studying that closely. It's always a dangerous play, pumping that puck up the middle. Most of the time when the goalie's handling a puck, you want a safe shot off the plexiglass or a direct pass out towards the wing. Going up the middle is always a dangerous play.
Kasparidis takes it back to safety, gets it right up the middle. Kovalenko. And the Russians now coming forward. That will definitely give the Norwegians confidence. Olsen pins his man against the boards, and the Norwegians hammer it off the boards and get it down the ice. Icing is the call, so the face-off will be at the other end of the rink. And what a start for Norway.
What a start for Trefilov. It's not the greatest thing in the world to boost your confidence early on, especially when you're in a situation with Trefilov, with, you know, you have Stalenkov right behind him. He's been behind him or beside him all year long. If you want the other goalie for this Russian team, they both play at Dynamo, so there's a constant competition between both of them, and they're both excellent goalies.
Bolden gets set for the face-off. Johansson telling the official where he wants Bolden to stand, but now the official tells Johansson where he wants him to stand. Johansson trying to jump the gun. He gets the draw, gets it back nicely. Dahlstrom hammers that off the boards, and that goes all the way down the ice. Zubov head-manning the puck up, and Bolden shoots it into the corner. Prokhorov slams on the brakes, puts it over to Borchevsky. Borchevsky drops it back. Volkanov couldn't stop that one from whizzing around to the near side. The Norwegians just happy to get it out of the zone again. They're not setting anything up at all. And that is another icing call.
I'm sure the spectators will be able to sympathize with us when you take a look at the Norwegian sweaters. They're white, red, and blue, and then across the back they have that big blue slash and the red letters that it's really hard to pick up sometimes. So sometimes we make the odd errors we've been known to make. I believe you made an error about 2 years ago, Paul, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember that myself, but I'll take your word for it.
Of course, your memory hasn't been as good as it has been in the past either, but
a lot of things are not as good as they used to be.
The point being that sometimes the number on the Norwegian sweaters are hard to pick up, so we're just doing the best we can, folks.
Biltbaum against Jamnov. Arnie Biltbaum, an aggressive center. The big shot comes in, and Skistad went high on that. The shot ricochets off the plexi, bounces down in the circle. A lot of holding, grabbing in there as the Russians continue to apply the pressure. Ellingson lets that one ride, and the Norwegians bounce it back into Ellingson. Petrenko will go in after him. The play is up on the near side. Jamnov slams on the brakes, gets it back to the D. Zhitnik, not a good pass from him. The Norwegians again going towards the Russian goal. Juszkiewicz rides roughly over Magnuson. Juszkiewicz picks it up, goes in the opposite direction. Now Magnuson has a chop at him. Up on the boards, it's Jamnov. He was waiting for the pass that didn't come. Kovalev picks it up, goes over the blue. Kovalev eventually runs out of places to go, runs out of steam, and big Aga Ellingson crawls all over him.
One thing that's really interesting to note, after the Olympic Games, there was certainly a lot of talk about how impressive the Russians had played in that series. I know over the years everybody had been saying that, yeah, the Russians are great, but after their first 5 top players, after that, what do you have? Well, those top 5 I'm talking about, the KLM line along with Kasatonov and Fedosov, they're all gone now. New stars have come in, they've gone. There's, close to 15 Russians, in between 15 and 20 Russians playing right now currently in the National Hockey League, and they just keep on coming, so you can see that there actually is a lot of depth in Russia in hockey. And they can move players in and move them out. Of course, it's like Canada. They have their better players, but they really do have a pretty good wide base to choose from.
The puck behind the goal with Korolev picking it up. Korolev now trying to get it out front. He does. The goaltender went down. Boughton picked it up. Boughton moves in, takes a shot. Skistad is there. A loose puck in front. A lot of dancing by Korolev, but nothing came of it. Still now the Russians getting the shot away. Boughton goes in after it. A big chop there from Anderson, and that goes down the ice. Play breaking down in the neutral zone as Korolev comes back, picks it up, goes over the line. He's got Barkov with him. Barkov, Korolev. Again, that fourth line out there for the Russians, kept in by Biakin. Biakin on the hash marks. Biakin pumps it behind the goal. Some good stuff from this line as they throw it around. The shot comes in. Again, Skistad goes down, but doesn't have to make the save. This time he gets a stick on it, pumps it into the corner. 1-0 the score. The Norwegians are leading the Russians. Do not adjust your sets. That is the score line right now. A giveaway by the goaltender, Trefilov, on a power play situation, put Anderson in front of the goal. And that's the way it stands right now. A change of lines for both teams, and this is a sample of what's happening in the corners.
You can see this fourth line of the Russians out there. They certainly have nothing to worry about when they're on the ice. They've got a couple good steady defensemen back there in Bautin and Biakin. Big number 7, Bautin, a free agent. He's one of the few players right now that is one of the top players that hasn't been drafted by an NHL team. And I know during the European Cup play, Paul, that the Russian officials were shopping him around. There was a few scouts in there taking a look at him, and he may be NHL bound.
We've seen so many go west, but so many come up through the Soviet and now Russian ranks that you just makes you wonder where they get them from. But like the Canadians and the Americans and the Swedes, they just seem to keep coming. Let's not forget the Finns, of course, and the Czechs, great producers of ice hockey players. There was a time when only Canadians played in the National Hockey League, a sprinkling of Americans. Now it's everyone. A chance now for the Norwegians. Another shot. Kapilov went down, made a save. Kovalenko comes up with it and breaks down the right side. Some sloppy play in the Russians' defensive zone. Kovalev with Butsayev. Kasparidis back at the blue. Kasparidis tips it over to Mironov. Back to Kasparidis, a one-timer. That's a goal. 1-1.
Nice shot by Kasparidis there. The Russians moving the puck around real well on the power play here. You see this comes up in the top here. Comes back down to Mironov. Mironov one touch back, and Kasparidis a one-time shot. Look at everybody in front of the net. Kimalev stirring up things in front of the net. I don't think Shistad actually saw the shot go. Look, he's looking around and behind. He didn't even see that shot coming in until it was almost past him. Great job by Kimalev. In front of that net, Russian forwards doing what they do best. They're not afraid to stand in there and possibly take one off the ankle, off the shoulder for the benefit of the team.
1-1 the score. We're still in the first period. The Russians slowly crawling themselves back into this game. Anderson goes for a skate on the far side, looking for Ellingson, decides to go the other way. He runs into Borchevsky, and that ends up in the corner. Malakhov sets himself out front. Bolden goes to pick up the loose puck. Prokharov breaks down the right side. Malakhov taps it forward. The Russians now with Prokharov tipping it out to the far side. Bolden is shadowing. Bolden calling for it in the circle. Prokharov goes back, and that scoots all the way down the ice. Trefilov dangerously out of his net. And he was rather a bit hesitant there.
He's understandably a little gun-shy right now after the boo-boo he made on the first Norwegian goal. He's not going to take any chances right now. He already knows that Viktor Tikhonov is going to take a piece off him in between periods, so he doesn't want to give him any more to worry about.
He'll probably spend his 15-minute break out on the top of the net while the Zamboni goes around him. He says, no way I'm going into the dressing room.
He may spend it in the Norwegian dressing room in between periods.
Zhamnov gets the draw to Yushkiewicz. Yushkiewicz skates away, gets it around the boards. The Norwegians, Trefilov goes down.
Big shot coming in there. No stop it. He was the benefit of that one. You could see a little confusion in here. Some good work in the middle there. The shot let go, but Trefilov was sharp. You watch Trefilov. He's following the puck right here, and he found himself right in the middle of that shot.
Gunnarsson getting the wood on it. Face-off in Russian territory, going into the face-off circle as Barkov gives it to Boughton. Boughton picks it up, looking a lot like Arto Blomsten of the Swedish national team. Familiar, or similar style rather. Barkov taps it forward nicely. Korolov doing some back checking. That bounces off the boards. The Norwegians are starting to throw their bodies around out there. Barkov going in on a sharp angle, gets tied up, and that's taken as far as the blue line. Right on the blue line. Tkachuk gets the shot away. Gunnarsson bangs it off the boards and gets it right back to the Soviet zone. Korolov up on the wing to Barkov. Anderson now goes for a skate. The flip on to the right wing, and Norway comes back on the attack, pushing it in. And right now, the Russians aren't looking very sharp indeed. throwing the puck around without even looking, not connecting on the passes. That one should have connected. Jakobsen gathered the puck in his own zone. Khmelev brought his man down. Mironov goes into the corner to chase this one. Kasparidis gets out there to pick it up and collect. Slow things down, but goes for the long pass right away. And that's an icing call. Well, is this the team that we saw win the gold medal in the Olympics?
Certainly doesn't look like it. They're sorely missing Kumatov and Bykov out there. A couple of veterans that are not only great technicians out on the ice, but certainly with their experience will be able to calm down some of these younger players. Play is looking kind of shoddy right now, Paul.
They're also missing Davidov, who went to Winnipeg and didn't want to come back. Kravchuk, who's gone to Chicago. There was a mass exodus right after the Olympics. A couple have come back, but some big guns have deserted the ship. Mironov in the corner. Olsen is there. Fagerli eventually kicked away to Kasparidis. A nice pass from him as the Russians. Mironov gets spun around. A pass right into the middle. The backhander comes. Khmelev got a piece of that. That's steered away. Kovalenko. Ellingson ties him up. He's a big man. There's no way you're going to move Ellingson off the puck. Pushed back into the corner. Ellingson again puts on a hold on Kovalenko. Khmelev tried to get it back in around the net, and the Norwegians break quickly. Well, you could see that offside coming. The left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing as they start to mix it up in the corner. Nothing serious, a chance to change up their lines.
Oystein Olsen trying to get a little steam up coming through the neutral zone. He had it going there, but as he got to the blue line, he made that one extra cut, put everybody offside. Gets the Shistad looking sharp here as Khmelev came in for the tight angle shot.
1-1 the score here, still in the first period. Prokhalov drops it back. Prokhalov on the return pass down the right wing, being shadowed by Anderson. Prokhalov picks up the puck, gets it over to the far side. Again, not a great pass from him. The Norwegians trying to keep it in the zone. And Jakobsen had problems with that right in front. Shistad got a piece of it. Malakhov, so quick to react.
Big shot coming in here. Malakhov gets himself on the off wing there. One time the shot didn't get a lot of wood on that one, but Shistad was able to get his glove on and his arm just enough to deflect it up and over the net. You saw it was kind of a knuckleball coming in there as the puck flipped up as he wound up to shoot it. He's a big boy, 94 kilos. An up-and-coming young star in the Russian system, only 24 years of age.
Face-off in Norwegian territory. Bolden tries to get it back. The Norwegians winning the draw yet again. That comes all the way back to the blue. It's tapped in. Shistad grabs it and forces another face-off.
Shistad isn't what you'd call a great puck handler, but he's adequate. He's playing it pretty conservative right now, and when you see all the players buzzing around it like that, I think that's the smart idea. 5 minutes left to go in this first period, 1-1 tie. It hasn't quite started like the way we thought it was going to, Paul. We thought that for sure that this Russian team would kind of have a burr under their saddle after that 2-2 tie against Switzerland. Would come out and kind of try to blow these guys away in the first period. It's just not happening.
The more saves this youngster makes, the more difficult it will be to score on him later on in the game. Goaltenders under pressure making big saves have a tendency to just go with it. They're on a roll. It's difficult to beat them. How many times have we seen that in this competition? And it's only 3 days old. Pushed into the corner. Jamnov was waiting for it in the circle. The pass didn't come. Another giveaway. And the Norwegians break with 3 men down on the blue line. Trefilov jumps on that one in a hurry. Zhitnik was there to help out.
You can see better Yuskevich moving over there to take his man out. Trefilov back in the net right now. I tell you, there's a young man right now who's not feeling very confident. He's still probably concerned about that first goal, and that's a mistake. He made the mistake, but what you have to do in that situation, and that's good for young players to learn how to do that. I know I had a problem when I was a youngster, is you make a mistake at the beginning of the game, would bother you all along. You have to learn to draw a line in that and start all over again.
Barkov gets it back to Boughton. Boughton along the boards. The return pass for him is too hard, and that ends up on this side. Yachuk, fourth line out there again for the Russians, trying to get something going in the dying minutes of this first period. 1-1 still the score. Power play goal for the Norwegians put them into a lead, and then Kasparidis came right back and hammered it in from the blue line. Barkov. And this is definitely not the sharp passing team that we're used to seeing. A bouncing puck in the corner. Bilkbaum tried to get it away. And now the Russians come out down the right side. Everyone seems to be standing around on both teams. Another change of personnel might help the situation. A good little move there by Biakin. Biakin is a tough little mover. The backhander, not a great pass from him, a giveaway in fact. And back come the Norwegians. Biakin gets back in a hurry. And Boughton lumbers back to pick it up. A long pass up to the blue line. The Norwegians happy just to bury it in Russian territory as Boughton, who's been out there for a long time, brings it up. A nice little pass up to Kovalenko. He seems to trip over something on the ice. And that comes out of the out into the neutral zone.
Things are starting to pick up here a little bit as we get down to the closing moments. I know the Russians would surely like to get a goal before going into the second period, having to face Victor Tikhonov, but the way the Norwegians are playing, I don't think it's going to happen.
Kovalenko, 1-2 little moves along the boards, and then eventually he's tied up. Some good stuff there from Petter Solston. Eventually stolen away by Dahlstrom. The puck comes out front, and now the Russians have a chance to bury it, but it's stolen and bounced out to the blue line. Pushed right back in. No real pattern to this play as Anderson loses the puck. Flipped back into the corner. The Norwegians, as you can see, are doing all they can do to contain the Russians. A lot of grabbing, a lot of holding every time a player gets near the boards. Kovalenko, Mironov lets the shot go. That ends up in the corner, and Zhitnik goes in there to try to get it out. All the way back again. Mironov with Kasparidis back on the blue. Mironov having problems getting a shot away. Eventually he does. That takes a deflection. Shistad is trying to get a look in there. You can see him bobbing up and down, looking around players. A lot of bodies right in front of him, but the shots aren't coming the distance.
It's one thing the Russians are really good at. We'll make a lot of comments about that along the way of this World Championships, that whenever that puck goes back to the blue line, their masters are getting in front of that net, creating screens and going for tip shots and getting rebounds. Right now the Russians are getting a lot of quality time in the offensive zone, but there's no flow to this game right now, and the Russians do not look comfortable out there. They're not moving. They're standing around trying to make moves in a stationary position, and that's not their game style.
The race is on, but Zhemnov will get there first. The official blowing the whistle and indicating interference on the play.
Big number 4, Vladimir Malikov. He saw that he got beat here. So what's he going to do? He's going to drag down his man. Bilkbaum was taken. He's got a lot of speed built up. Bilkbaum and Malikov decide, well, I'll try to get away with this one, but this time he got caught at it. The Norwegians are so far 1 for 1 on their power play. It'd be pretty handy for him to pick up another one just before going in at the end of this first period.
I really don't know who designed these sweaters with the numbers on them, but next time he designs a sweater for Norway, I'd like him to talk to me first. It's like an Irish license plate, black on red, impossible to see. The Norwegians pick it up in the neutral zone. Bolden goes over his man, coming down quickly as Magnuson. He's taken off the puck. That ends up on the blue line. A lot of support here for Norway. As you can see in the background, the flags are draped everywhere.
If you think the Irish license plates are bad, you should see the Newfoundland ones in Canada. Paul, they're black on black.
I don't want to hear it. Ellingson got it up, pushed in the corner. Yushkiewicz, and Trefilov again is way out of his cage. Back to the blue line. The shot comes in. The loose puck is there. The goalie goes down. And Prokhodov comes to the rescue and bangs it off the boards. And eventually it trickles out over the blue line. And another let off there for the Russians with 35 seconds on the clock. This penalty will go into the next period. A loose puck on the left side. Zhamnov takes the shot. And Shistad comes out nicely as that goes right into his midriff. Now Zhamnov or anyone else on the Russian team may have put that upstairs, put it in the corner, but right now he's shooting right into his stomach. I've never seen a puck go through a goalie before, not in the midriff anywhere.
So Alexei Zhamnov moving in. Great little hockey player. I really admire him. He's one of the many players here from Dynamo Moscow. There's actually 9 players from the Dynamo team.
Welcome back to Bratislava. The team's getting set to come back on the ice, and this is a 1-1 ball game here, Norway against Russia. And the Norwegians getting a break on a bad pass from the goaltender Trefilov, and then Kasparidis came back to level the score. And it really has been tight. The Russians at times have not looked like the Soviet team that we know and love. Let's take a look at this goal again. That's how the Norwegians got on the scoreboard. Another one almost came in a similar situation. Some good stuff, but this time Trefilov goes down, makes the save, and Kovalenko came out to clear things away. Mironov set up Kasparidis, and that's what the Russians needed to bring them back into this game.
Big shot coming in here from the blue line. That's what the Russians have to do. They have to get their big defensemen involved. They all have big cannons back there. You get people set up in front there, and you get guys like Kovalenko and Kimmelev in there, big guys, and it's pretty tough for Shistad to see past all that beef.
This is a good opportunity for Malakhov. He really didn't get the wood to it, as you said earlier on. If he had put some beef behind it, I'm sure he would have scored, but Shistad managed to get the glove to it. From the face-off now, we have the Russians playing from left to right. Mironov tips it into center. And the chip down the ice. Kovalenko skates quickly behind the goal. Ellingson stays on him. Anderson is there. Ellingson so physical when it comes to moving guys away from the net. He's good on the boards too. That bounces out of the corner. And the Russians now on the attack. Kovalenko gets it back. And we have another face-off on the plate.
Another problem with the net there. We've had a couple of problems with the net coming off the moorings, and sometimes the puck, the net hasn't come off cleanly. We've even actually had a few of the pegs snapped off of the bottoms.
They don't make them like they used to.
Well, they've been experimenting the last couple of years with a lot of different things, like the short little pegs in the bottom. They went with the magnets for a while, but they found there was a problem. Now they got a new one with a spring-loaded post in the middle. They're trying in Canada. Seems to be pretty effective, but they'll get it straightened out one of these days.
Back on the attack now, the big red machine. Kovalev going in on the right side with Petrenko. That didn't work, and it goes deep for Yushkiewicz. Zhamnov is with him. Yushkiewicz starts it out on the left side of the goal, brings it up as far as the circle. Gets it up quickly to Zhamnov. Zhamnov breaks to the right side. Zhamnov having problems hanging onto it. The shot was a weak one, more of a a misfire there as Kovalev goes in along the boards. Bodies falling all over the place. And that comes back to the top of the circle, and it's cleared away by the Norwegians. And I can't help thinking that any moment now the floodgates are going to open and the goals are going to start to come, but the Russians aren't creating the opportunities. They have the personnel, they have the talent. When are they going to start scoring?
But they don't have the speed tonight, Paul. There's no speed in their attack. Look at everybody. They're going half speed out on the ice. You very rarely see anybody going full out there.
Zhitnik eventually gets it up. That's banged away. Back as far as the blue line. Malakoff kept it in. It squeezes out. The pass over to the far side, and the Norwegians now try to get something going. Anderson takes a poke there. Ellingson has a go at it, and that's dumped into the corner. Prokhalov couldn't get anything organized. Magnuson flips it to the far side. The bounce off the boards comes kindly to the Norwegians. Karlstad flips it away. That goes down the ice, and icing is the call. 1-1 the score here in the second period. And again, everyone in the building is waiting for the Russians to catch fire.
As you say, I think it's just a question of time. I don't know. I would like to have heard Viktor Tikhonov's talk in between the period. You see Jamnov trying to slip the puck past the Norwegian defender here. It wasn't quite as successful as he has been in the past, and it just seems that's the story of this hockey game. The Russians are coming close, but it seems that the Norwegian is diving in front, blocking a shot, or getting their stick on it, or Shistad's coming up with a big play. But for whatever the reason, the Russians just can't get on track. They scored only 2 goals against Switzerland. They only have 1 here tonight. Could it be that Bykov and Kumatov meant that much, and Davidov, they lost some scoring punch there and some on the defense as well?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when the Russians take on the big boys. So far, they've been battling with the bottom of the table teams and haven't done that well. This one, of course, is far from over. In the corner, Barkov is spun around by Johansson. A big hit there on Korolov. The Norwegians lack the stick handling ability, sometimes the shooting ability, and the skating ability, which doesn't leave much, but they certainly can hit when they get in the right situation.
It's one thing we've noticed before, talking about the Norwegians. There seem to be a country that doesn't really have a style of their own. They want to play like the Swedes. I know that they have a lot of Swede coaches there, and they've watched them for a long time, but they really don't have the same qualities of the Swedes. They have their own qualities. They're a very physical bunch of guys, and I think if they settled down and played a little more simply and try to get a little more pressure in the offensive zone and cut out a lot of the stuff that's not getting them anywhere, all the unnecessary passing and cutting back in the central zone, they might get a little more efficiency into their play.
Right now, the Norwegian fans are enjoying what's happening out there. Trefilov goes for another walk, and again, not a spectacular clearance from him. Whistled all the way around, and the Norwegians have to go deep into their own zone, with Sogard getting it over to the far side. Torreson, the lazy flip out into the neutral zone. Again, no pattern to the play from the Norwegians. It has been slowing down the Russians, has been effective. Kasparidis got that forward. Everyone went for a skate. And now the Norwegians pick it up. The Norwegians, as this game goes on, if the score remains the same, which I doubt very much, will grow with confidence. Jamnov goes back with Mironov. I was saying they're growing confidence, and they might even be able to pop another goal or two.
They've been close enough here after that last goal by Malakoff. The Russians are sitting back a little bit, waiting for things to happen. It's usually sometimes what happens, it's kind of a phenomenon in hockey, is in all sports. When you have a team with so many stars on it like the Russians do, everybody keeps saying, as we say that, there's a big shot off the crossbar there. But as I was saying, what happens sometimes is everybody's waiting for the star next to them to make the difference. And what happens is nobody makes the difference and everybody's standing around. And I think it's exactly what's happening here tonight. Everybody knows they're going to win, but nobody's making the effort to make the difference.
Big shot there, and Shistad loves it out of the evening air. Another face-off in Norwegian territory. Still a 1-1 ball game here in Bratislava. This is the third game of the day on Eurosport. We hope you have enjoyed being with us all day long, if you have been with us. The day started with the Canadians, it seems so long ago now, but the Canadians and the Swiss coming to a 1-1 draw. The Czechs beating the French 3-0. That was a tough old battle that ended up in a big fight. Perhaps 1 or 2 suspensions. We'll wait and see for that. And as we've said several times, there have been some surprises. The Germans have beaten the Americans, and the Swiss have tied the Russians. Right now, the Norwegians are tying the Russians. Kokharov gets it back onto the D. Flipped over to Malakhov. Malakhov passing it in the center nicely. A chance now as Shistad bats that away. Malakhov gets caught in the top of the circle and rescues the situation nicely by getting back quickly. Bolden, nice pass over to the far wing. And the Norwegians certainly are playing the body. Malakhov takes a shot right in front of the net again. Again, not getting exactly what he wanted on the puck. Malakhov in front of his own goal. Up into the neutral zone. That goes down the ice.
We're seeing maybe the Russians trying to turn it up a notch here right now. They certainly have the power to do it. They've got some skaters, and I'm a little confused right now. I really believe that the Russians are going to come out and blow these guys away after that 2-2 tie against the Swiss. They can't believe that, you know, they're just going to come waltzing in here and walk away with the gold medal. It would certainly be a confidence booster after the big win they had in Mirabel, but they had to fight in tooth and nail all the way along in that one to get it. But maybe they're like us. They're taking a look at some of the teams and saying, gee, maybe some of these big guys aren't as strong as they used to be. But I think right now I'd be watching out for that Czech team. You called in the last game. I think the Czech team has been the one that's been the most impressive up to right now. They're in front of their home crowd, and I think they're going to be the team to watch in this tournament.
It remains to be seen, but and we'll wait and see who the Americans and the Canadians bring over, if anyone else at all. The Canadians hoping for 1 or 2 stars along the boards. It's Gunnarsson. Vallotton gets a push away. Vallotton wrestling with Johansson. Still Johansson and Vallotton having a go at each other. The loose puck is in front. That's in the net! Another goal for Norway. Friis picks it up. Dancing almost in the crease. Let's look at this again.
Shot out here by Gunnarsson, right out in front. It hit Friis in front. I don't know if he got a stick on it or was his shin pad. Maybe look at this one from right here. It was deflected up. It hit Friis from in front of that, came right straight back to Trefilov. We get another angle on it right here. Actually, it wasn't Friis from that angle. It looked like it was the defenseman Viakin that hit it. Maybe from here we can see it. Well, it'd be interesting to see who they give that goal to, but for me, I think it was Gunnarsson who shot that out off the shin pad of Viakin that put it in himself.
Either way you look at it, the Norwegians have taken the lead here in the second period. An incredible situation. Kovalenko lets the shot go. Shistad grabs that low down and calls for a face-off.
But what a goal to get the Norwegians back into this game, just as the Russians were trying to heat things up a little bit. Get a replay on that last play. No problem for Shistad. He had that one all the way. But what a goal at this point of the game. It's certainly going to give a big lift to the Norwegian team.
Kasparidis tried to keep it in. That comes to the top of the circle, and the Norwegians get it to the red line and shoot it in. Another bouncing puck is cleared into the corner, and the Norwegians now playing with a little more purpose. Butseyev scoots to the side. Mironov fakes a shot. Mironov going in. Oh, a lovely little move by Mironov. He ran out of places to go. Ellingson stayed with him. Zhamnov, or Khmilev rather, taken out as he worked his way out in front. Zhitnik in the corner. And the Russians putting on the pressure as that goes wide of the target. Hoff, a big hit along the boards. And Butseyev, along with Hoff and a couple of others, mixing it up well and showing that they all mean business out there. I said it before, I'll say it again, these Norwegians lack a lot of things, but they don't lack hitting power. They certainly have got the ability to throw their weight around.
They do have courage, and they're not afraid to mix it up once in a while. You can see Mironov moving in here. He spun Ellingson around. Ellingson, he stuck right with him, and he maybe got a piece of him, allowing Skistad to get the pad over there to stop him on the backhand. But he went around Ellingson like he was standing still.
Big shot from way back at the blue. .14 is Kovalev. Kovalev trying to dance his way out of the corner. Kovalev now gets the shadow on him. The wraparound doesn't come. Some good stuff from the Russians here as they apply the pressure. They certainly have picked it up a gear. That goes all the way down the ice. And Butsayev goes back over the blue line. And we'll have a change of personnel for both teams.
Take a good look at the Norwegian bench here. They look pretty relaxed. I think Victor Tikhonov blood pressure's gone up an extra 20 points. Well, I'll tell you, this tournament has been full of surprises up till now. I think I'm done making predictions on this tournament, Paul. Every time we go ahead and announce something in advance and going into a game of what we expect to see, we see just the opposite. So why are they going to pay us all this money to be here as experts, Paul? We don't know what we're talking about.
They're paying us?
I know they're paying you.
Bolden from the face-off loses out to Christensen. That's bounced off the boards. Pushed right back into Norwegian territory. Skistad gets a swipe at it. A chance now as it comes back to the blue. Bolden takes a shot. Malakhov whistles that off a skate. And a few months ago, Malakhov would have taken his time there and found a receiver, someone to pass to. Prokhodov chases number 7, Jakobsen. That goes into the near corner. And it does seem that the Russians are throwing the puck away, whereas just a few months ago they would have looked for someone, taken the time, made the crisp pass, and got away with it. Right now they seem to be doing what the Norwegians do. Hey, just get rid of the puck.
Well, the Russians got to change something right now. What's going on for them right now, or what they decided their game plan, I can't really figure it out. I mean, I don't think they're going to go into a game saying, hey, let's not skate and give the puck away all game. They're not going to win a game like that. They usually come out and play their game. You don't see them change their game very much, and they like to make people adapt to you, and I think that's the secret of success in hockey. If you've got a team that can go out and is strong enough and make the other team adapt to you, you're going to have a lot of success, and the Russians have had a lot of success doing that. Unfortunately tonight for them, they're not doing what they do best, and that's control the puck, stay in movement all the time, and they've got a great skating game, but they're not skating.
Boughton gets it all the way down the ice. The race is on now with Barkov. Barkov going up against Ellingson. Ellingson come out on top, but the puck is still in the Norwegian zone. Tipped back in, going quickly after it is Alexander Barkov. A loose puck, and the race is on at this end. And back comes the Norwegian side. The shot from a sharp angle. Dahlstrom was there. The rebound comes way out, and the Russians now go at the Norwegian goal. One too many white shirts back there. Difficult situation as Biakin gets it over to the far side. Cleared away by Jakobsen into the neutral zone. Korolov can't do anything. Boughton tries to get it out. And this is sloppy play from both teams. A chance now for Korolov. Khmelev was racing right in there, and you can see the indication from the referee holding.
You can see the play developing right here. I think it was a bit of a dive, actually. It looks like Jacobson's going to get the gate here. You can see the Russian forward trying to make the big move around him. Petter Salston is going to serve the penalty for Jacobsen.
You still can't see those numbers.
I cannot see those numbers. I apologize, folks, but I really can't pick it up. I've got my magnifying glass out here on the TV, but I just can't pick them up. Peter Salsa getting caught, dragging him down. So the Russians are certainly going to want to take advantage of this power play. They're not getting a lot of them. The Norwegians are being pretty disciplined tonight.
Pass up onto the right wing. Kovalenko Kovalenko cruising there with Butsayev all the way back to the D. Kasparidis wants it back, the one-timer. Kovalenko goes in there with Khmilev. The big boys are on now, trying to get something going. The Jeers are trying to put the Russians off their stroke. Butsayev pushes it into the corner. That comes back to Kasparidis, fakes the shot. A shot coming from the other side. Kovalenko went after it, and the Norwegians clear it out of the zone. The pass up onto the left wing, and back comes the big red machine. Look at all the white jerseys getting back into position. Nobody wants to be out of position on this power play. Kovalenko in front of the goal. Mironov gets it over into the circle. Kovalenko goes down, so does Skistad, and it's still not in the back of the net. Kovalenko dropping it off to the hash marks. Mironov, Kovalenko, Mironov doing a great job back on the D. Skistad doing a great job in goal.
I'll tell you, Kim Sogard's got his hands full in front there with big Andrei Kovalenko in front of that net. He's creating all kinds of problems. And look who's taking notes in the stand, Dave King. Although he's seen it pretty much all before, and these guys don't change a lot, but he'll be picking up something. He learns something just about every time he goes to the rink, he says. See the shot coming in here. You can see Sogard trying to tie up everybody in front, but he's got two guys against him, but Skistad doesn't let that rebound get loose. On the play, looks like Butsayev picked up 2 minutes along the way, along with the Norwegian defender. But that doesn't affect anything here. It's still going to be the Russian team on the power play.
Well, an interesting situation here in the second period, 2-1 the score. The Norwegians in the lead. Yes, the Norwegians are in the lead. A lot of chopping and players infringing in the circle. They have to stay out of that circle. Well, that's the theory. The only two guys who can be in there are the centers, along with the linesmen, of course. The other guys are encroaching, but the puck is dropped as that comes back to the blue. Zhitnik cruises to the top of the circle, or the top of the slot area, gives it over to Kovalev. Kovalev takes the shot, and that's batted away. And listen to the crowd. They're enjoying this. Every time that puck goes down the ice, every time the Norwegians do something, the crowd respond accordingly. Zhamnov can motor. He goes into the corner, drops it back. Petrenko goes in to pick it up. He can't get it. Zhamnov now will go after it. 8 seconds on the penalty. 11:17 gone on the period. Yushkiewicz. Zolston comes back onto the ice. And that's dumped into the far corner for Yushkiewicz. Kovalev turned to go after it. And now the Russians come back. 3 players approaching the blue line, going in on the backhand side. Zhamnov is there. And Skistad did not know where that puck was.
Dangerous play as that play developed. Skistad had the shot come in. You can see Zhamnov motoring around the outside here on the backhand, coming in, touches the defender's stick, comes back, and look at that puck bouncing around. I actually thought it slipped through there. Puck is still rolling around in behind Skistad, but he finally manages to get a handle on it, keep it out of the net. You can see it from this angle. Watch it pop through and behind him here. Luckily that number 10, Petrenko, was a little late coming in for the Norwegians. Otherwise he would have an easy goal just poking that one in. Look where that puck's lying. Right there. Gunnarsson doing a good job of tying him up and not allowing Petrenko to drive to the net.
Well, every goaltender needs a bit of luck. And Skistad has just used up some of his. That goes over the net. Pushed back behind the goal. Norway clearing it out of their own zone all the way down the ice. Dahlstrom couldn't get a handle on it.
Time's winding down here in the second period. And again, I don't think if I was one of the Russian players, I would certainly want to get a goal, having not wanting to go into between the second and third period with a Viktor Tikhonov, who is should be upset. He is upset, and he should be upset. His team is not playing well, but as a coach, he's got to calmly analyze the situation, figure out what's wrong, and try to put his finger on it so he can get these guys remotivated, get them moving back in the right direction, because there's still a lot of hockey to play here. It's certainly not the time to panic, but his team is flat. They're not moving out there, and he's got to get them going.
Bolden gets it back, but the Norwegians pick it up and go forward. That goes all the way back to Malakoff. Cleared over to the near side of Borchevsky. This guy has been quiet throughout the two periods so far. Borchevsky is one of the rising stars from the Olympics, but he really hasn't done much. Prokharov is brought down. I was saying that Borchevsky hasn't done much. Watch now, he'll score about 4 goals in a row. The backhander by Salston goes all the way down the ice. Malakoff goes deep. Malakoff with Zubov. Still the big Russian defenseman eventually feeds it up on the right side. Offside with Prokharov. Well and truly over the blue line, looking for a quick break down the right side.
Through this all, though, Viktor Tikhonov is keep going with his 4-line rotation. He's an experienced guy. He's been here before. I mean, you can't believe that over all the years that he's been with this Russian team, that they've played like a well-oiled machine every time. He's been through tough times before, and I'm sure it's just a matter of making a few adjustments and get these guys a little fired up to get them playing well. They just don't seem like they have that fire in their bellies coming out into this game.
Coming up to the 13-minute mark of the period. The long bouncing pass goes down the ice. Boughton. Korolov. Korolov flips that into the corner, and it's eventually picked up by Karlstad. Korolov again over to the far side. A good little poke check there in the neutral zone, gets that away from Biakin. He has to go deep. And the Norwegians not showing the Russians any respect at all. Biakin playing some heads-up hockey as he gets around one-man, two-man, goes after Sogard. A change over there as Barkov takes a shot. That hit a player. Barkov picks up the rebound, tries to get it out front. That comes to the side of the net, is eventually cleared out of the zone. And the Russians still having problems setting up some sort of offensive attack here. Korolov. And that goes down the ice again, and the Norwegians, you can't really blame them. They got to take the pressure off. This is what they do best. Defend, ice, and then hope for a break every now and then. It's worked so far. Why not keep it going?
It's the oldest tactic in the book. When you're going up against a superior force, you want to take away what they do best. And they've managed to slow this game down to a crawl, chipping the puck into the stands, dumping it out, getting the icing, freezing the puck along the boards. They're doing whatever they can to take away the momentum. Anytime that it seems the Russians get up any kind of steam in front of them, the Norwegians are there to freeze the puck or dump it over the boards or something, just to cut off the play, change the lines, and they're just not letting them getting their game going.
Butsayev and Johansson in the face-off circle. That comes back to the blue. Mironov has problems controlling it. He'll go for Kasparidis. Kasparidis feeds it through. Shestad is down. And a sea of players in front of the goaltender. Trefilov quick to get it out to the blue, and back come the Russians along the right side of the rink. Kovalenko has to retreat into his own zone. That's pushed over to the other side, and Butsayev calls for it, picks it up on the blue. Butsayev goes over to Kasparidis. Kasparidis waits too long on it. Anderson's all over him. And Trefilov gives it to Mironov. Butsayev got in the way of that pass, and it's tipped away. The Norwegians just biding their time out there as the Russians seem to be running into each other. Kasparidis couldn't make that pass connect. Jakobsen goes deep, puts it over the plexi. Not a great clearance by him, but it'll give both teams a chance to change up their lines. 2-1 to score here in the second period. Norway leading the Russians. And could this be another surprise result? Do not leave your seats. Do not adjust your sets. We got a long way to go. But I'm sure some Russian fans, players, possibly a couple of assistant coaches may be just a bit worried right now. Face-off in Norwegian territory as Bilkbaum went for a skate. That trickles out over the blue line. Juszkiewicz throws it back, gets the return pass, and Juszkiewicz starts his way up on the right side. A pass that was intercepted easily, and the Norwegians throwing their weight into this. Zhitnik losing out behind the goal. Norway trying to apply a little pressure as that bobbles, with Sogard getting it in. Kovalev to the far side. Zhamnov breaks into the corner. That shot took a deflection. Anderson picked it up and got it off the boards, and that goes all the way down the ice.
Well, the scenario continues here. Well, the Russians are trying to get something heated up on the rink, and every time they do, well, the Norwegians are there to douse the fire. They're just acting like firemen out there. What they're really doing a good job of is plugging up the central ice area and not allowing the Russians to develop any speed coming back to the neutral zone. So consequently, every time they get into the zone, it's always a chopped up play. They never have anybody moving to the net or anybody in movement.
Igor Bolden gets set to take the face-off for the Russians. Johansson doesn't want to listen to the linesman. Eventually he leaves the circle, and the Norwegians slow to put someone back in there. 29, Olsen, eventually does the honors, and that goes into the corner from the hash marks now. The Russians unable to beat the Norwegians on a lot of these one-on-one situations. That goes high and into the crowd. The play really has slowed down here in the second period, and as you said, Larry, the Norwegians are doing what they have to do. They're taking the steam out of the Russian attack. They're not letting them get started. They're doing a lot of grabbing, and they're shooting the puck out of the rink whenever the Russians get a little pressure on the goal.
Well, it's maybe not the prettiest hockey in the world, but believe me, all it really matters at the end of the game is the bottom line. We're looking for efficiency here. The Norwegians don't have the game to play straight up with these guys, so they have to chip away and maybe just throw the other team off their game, and don't let them get into their game. That's the secret.
It's not pretty, it's darn right ugly, but the Norwegians don't care. They want to win this game, and they're going to do it the only way they know how. Barkov circles as that goes up onto the far side. Now Barkov picks it up on the blue. Big number 31 races into the corner. Salston goes after him. The loose puck is in front. Shestad goes down. It's still there. Still not away. A chance on the backhand side. Coming in from close in, number 12. Biakin couldn't squeeze it in the net. A great opportunity again for the Russians. Biakin couldn't get anything going there. Boughton passes it up quickly. Barkov on the right wing takes it into the corner. Barkov tries to wrap it around. A loose puck there. Everyone takes a poke at it, but Shestad once again comes up with a loose puck.
You can really see that the Russians are starting to get frustrated out there. They're chopping away at the Norwegians now. And I think if we turn the microphone up, you can see Barkov driving to the net here, getting caught up. There seems to be a big traffic jam up in front there. Shestad is able to come up with a loose puck. Watch him cut inside, take a big chop by the Norwegian defenseman coming around. You have Biakin moving in there looking for a loose puck, but nothing doing. There's the man of the moment right there, Robert Shestad, 26 years old. You see it, he's a Viking.
Butsayev lost the draw. Sogard fires that off the boards, and that goes out into the neutral zone. All the way back on the D. A big hit there on Jakobsen. A chance now again for the Norwegians. The shot coming from Magnuson, squirted away from Trefilov. Mironov collects on the far side of the rink. Mironov quickly headmans it up, gets the return pass and dumps it into center. Racing for it is number 28, Milov. Kovalenko goes in to help out. Butsayev, a nice little move. Butsayev, the far corner was where he wanted to put it, but that ended up under Shistad's pad. This guy right now is unbeatable.
Butsayev makes a nice move right here, pulling the puck around the defenseman, comes in, sets up, tries to go 5-hole on Shistad, but he managed to close down. Noted at the beginning of the program, the Russians, I think, have seen something in previous games, and maybe the scouting report is when I say 5-hole, that's a hockey term for meaning going between the legs. Nice little move here, pulling the puck around. Right there, he tries to go down. Shistad was looking for the puck behind him, but it got caught up in his pads, and I'll tell you, we've got a lot of Russians shaking their heads right now. They're saying, what do we have to do to beat this guy?
Still 2-1, still in the second period here in Bratislava. And the Norwegians are leading the Russians. A lot of singing, dancing, and beating of the drums in the stands here, but this one isn't over yet, so I guess it's fair to let them celebrate while they can. Who knows, at the end of 60 minutes they may have even more reason to celebrate. That comes back to the blue. A chance now to set something up. The big shot comes in.
Johansson trying to make the big dive there at the blue line. Yeskovich managed to get that big shot through. You watch it right here. Player goes down, the puck gets through. You had Kovalev right there on the doorstep, but Shistad's holding strong in there. No rebound. Big glove save coming up there.
We said in the first period, the more this guy makes good saves, the stronger he'll get, the more confident he will get. We're talking about the goalie in front of you now. And he'll get on a roll, and it will be really tough to beat him near the end of the game, let alone now. That goes all the way down the ice. Another icing call.
I don't know if this game's going to finish before the next one's supposed to start tomorrow, Paul, at the rate they're going here right now.
And so it's okay, I brought sandwiches.
I didn't bring my sleeping bag, though.
This is the third game of the day for Larry and I. We hope you have enjoyed our coverage. Canada, Switzerland, Czechoslovakia, France, and now the Russians and Norway. And right now the Russians are being frustrated by the Norwegians. That comes out into the neutral zone. Bouncing puck goes over onto the left wing. And the jeers from the crowd coming from the Norwegian portion of the spectators here. We're going to have another penalty on the play, another hooking call. Let's take a look at this. 1, 2, 3, and eventually a grab. And that's the time to let everything go and fall to the ice.
Our big friend, Ege Ellingson, actually spent some time in North America, Paul. The Edmonton Oilers organization, apparently 2 years over there. One of the few Norwegians to actually have played professional hockey in NHL. But you can see there's an NHL move right there. Actually, the Norwegians have been getting away with a lot of that. This time it didn't work out for them. The Russian let himself go, but boy, Ellingson, he's a big boy, 6'3", 210 pounds. He's got the size to play the pro game, and maybe lacks a little mobility. Maybe got caught a little flat-footed in his own zone there and decided to take a hold on that man.
Bolden can't control the face-off, and the Norwegians shoot it all the way down the ice. Power play situation now with the Russians coming out over the blue, approaching the red, going down on the right side. 3 Russians in the corner there. You could throw a blanket over those guys. Prokhorov picks it up, takes it away from the crowd, drops it back, takes up a position in the corner. Malakhov over to the far side. The one-timer comes from a sharp angle. And Sheestead got a piece of that. That's cleared all the way back to Malakoff, who's making up a lot of space on the blue. Tip back to the red line. Borchevsky back to Malakoff, back to Borchevsky. Borchevsky lets the wrist shot go. Again, Borchevsky with the puck on the hash marks. Borchevsky allowed to walk right in, comes back and gives it to Malakoff. Malakoff fakes the shot. Malakoff this time lets it ride. That deflects wide. Going into the corner is Jakobsen. Jakobsen loses his stick as that comes back to Malakoff. It'll be like 3 players out there because Jakobsen has lost his stick. Malakoff lets the shot go. Sheestead made the save. I don't think he knew what he was doing. Borchevsky to the far side. A shot comes in, and this time it's blocked at the D. There goes the buzzer to end the period. A strong finish by the Russians, but they still trail 2-1 in this game against Norway.
You have to admire the Norwegians. They're showing a lot of courage in this game. Those penalty killers out there are doing what they have to do. They're getting in the shooting lanes of the Russians, getting in their faces, not letting them get any clean shots to the net. They're getting the screen set up in front, but the puck's not getting through. The Norwegians doing a great job out there.
Well, we're going to take another break right now, but look at that score line. Don't go away. We have a third and final period coming up. That's going to be a great one.
The World Ice Hockey Championships in Czechoslovakia rolls on, with Switzerland proving to be the dark horses of the tournament so far. But it was King hoping to start the avalanche of points for Canada, who put them ahead 7 minutes into the second period. Switzerland never gave any quarter. Keisler scoring 4 minutes from time, 1-1 the final score. 3,500 spectators suitably impressed. In Prague, a hugely partisan crowd of nearly 6,000 cheered Czechoslovakia on against France. But the French held out in the first period. 0-0 it ended. In the second, Lubina scored and Czechoslovakia came alive. They put on the kind of show that helped them beat Norway 6-1 yesterday. Into the third period, and the French tempers were fraying slightly. Verbeek making it 2-0. A tough game indeed for France. 3 minutes from time, Jelinek added to their misery. The French had taken off their goalkeeper in a desperate effort to pull back. Jelinek's shot deadly accurate. 3-0 it ended. Czechoslovakia with the best record in the competition so far. Czechoslovakia hoping to improve on their bronze medal placing in the Olympics. With cool collected play like this, they should have few worries. Tomorrow's live matches on Eurosport: Germany versus Sweden at 4:30, United States versus Finland, 8 o'clock Central European Time.
Welcome back. Paul Ferguson here with Larry Hurass. We're looking at some of the action leading up to this third and final period. We're waiting for the teams to get set for the face-off. And that was a close one there for Sheestead. That one trickled right up to the line. The goaltender went down, as he's done so many times throughout the first 2 periods, and came up with a save. Another one there getting the pad down on Butseyev. The score is 2-1. Norway are leading the Russians. Still 20 minutes to go. And the talk between the commentators, the Germans, the Dutch, let me work it out here, the French and the English, is that the big red machine will come back and pop a few goals. Well, here we go. Let's see what they can do. No one can really believe that the Russians would lose to the Norwegians. But anything is capable of happening in this sport. Kasparidis got it over. Now the Norwegian penalty is finished. Kasparidis goes deep. Kovalenko drops it off. The Russians start out slowly. Petrenko, some good moves by him as he picks it up a gear, gets it back, and Jakobsen clears it out. That goes as far as the blue line. And eventually it's batted away, and Zhitnik has to go back for it. Zhitnik picks it up at the top of the circle, flips it to the far side. Not a great pass from him. And Zhitnik will go back and rescue the situation for the Russians. That goes over into the circle, back to Zhitnik. Zhamnov. Shistad went down on that, steered it away. Again, it's kept in right back at the blue line. Kovalov spun around, dumped to the ice. Kovalov gets back, or tries to get back up on his feet. Petrenko goes in to help out. And Pajali brings it out on the left wing. A rink-wide pass. Pajali calls for it back again, but that's dumped in. Both teams going for a change.
Well, I hope the Norwegians got something going in the dressing room before to, keep their courage up, because it's exactly what they're going to need to face this third period. It's not so much that they can't do it, but it's they have to believe in themselves. Things have been going pretty much their way. The Russians have had a tough time of it, making things click. As you can see, just things aren't just going their way. Maybe they passed around a bottle of vodka in between the periods there, Paul, to get himself a shot. I can remember my Czechoslovakian coach, Josef Orszowski, the ex-coach of the Czech national team, saying that in the old days when they used to go up against teams in the national and in the world championships and Olympics, before the game, they used to pass a bottle of vodka around in the dressing room before the games, and everybody used to take a shot off the bottle. He says when they used to play the Canadians, they used to take 2 shots.
Face-off brought back into Russian territory because the Russians had touched the puck with a stick above the shoulder. A long pass forward and a break now. Barkov gets it across, a chance, a backhand shot. Shistad goes out, makes the save, and heads go down, heads go up, and the Russians are wondering what do they have to do. Barkov. Big save there by the goaltender.
Borshevsky makes a nice pass across the bowl, and watch the little backhand coming in here. Didn't get a lot of wood on it, but what was important is that Shistad was sliding across and didn't have the great balance coming in there, but luckily for him, Bolden got the shot up high and he was able to come across and put the glove on it.
Barkov in the face-off circle. And see the Norwegians ready to pounce as that comes all the way back to the blue. A high shot over Shistad. The rebound comes in, a loose puck in the crease, and Barkov took a poke at it, but again Shistad was there to make the save.
I think we're going to see a lot more of this in the third period. You'll watch a shot coming in and everybody going to the net. The Russians are going to get more aggressive around that net. There has been a lot of bouncing pucks, loose pucks around Shistad tonight. He's done a pretty good job overall covering things up, but you'll watch big 31 Barkov coming in here trying to poke that puck out of the glove of Shistad. Here comes the puck rolling in here. You'll see Barkov coming into your screen. He's not going to let up. Luckily for the Norwegians, Johansson was in there to clear him out.
The fourth line still out there for the Russians. Boughton backhands that into the corner. Barkov has spun around. Going after it was Tkachuk, and that escapes him, but number 12, Biakin, gets back and clears up the situation. Biakin bringing it forward now for the Russians. A nice little headman up to Tkachuk. Tkachuk goes in, takes a shot. Shistad again makes the save. Barkov and Korolev working well with Tkachuk on this fourth line.
Tkachuk went heavily into the boards there after getting that shot off. You see him coming down here. You see the defenseman coming across here. Sogard makes a big dive. As he goes, he trips up. He trips up the Russian forward, and he goes in heavily backwards into the boards. And I believe that Tkachuk just knocked the wind out of himself there. I don't think it's anything too serious.
Change of personnel for both teams as Butsayev sets himself up for the face-off. And the official giving the Norwegians instructions to get back. That's tipped into Russian territory, and Kasparidis goes back for it. Pushed into the far corner with Anderson shadowing. Fajali puts it over to the near side. The whistle blows. Khmelev getting up slowly.
Khmylev driven hard into the boards, and again, I believe it's this time here he seems to be favoring a leg. I don't know, it might be a Charlie horse. He was just driven into the boards. You watch the play develop here. The defenseman stands up, makes the big hit. Khmylev goes heavily into the boards, possibly hurting his thigh. Yuri Khmylev, one of the pivotal players on this team. He certainly misses Bykov and Kumatov, his two line mates from the Olympic Games, but he can't complain either. The guys that have stepped in and playing with him on this game have done a pretty good job. Butsayev and Kovalenko, a couple of pretty decent players.
Butsayev out there now with Biakin, Mironov. Butsayev goes in to clean up, pushes that away, tries to get it away from Jakobsen. Torresson was working back behind the goal, and that comes all the way back to the blue. Mironov gets the wrist shot away, and again they miss the net. They're going to have some shooting practice, I'm sure, after this one is over. The net is knocked off its moorings, and so we'll have a face-off as they try to untangle the bodies behind the goal.
The Norwegian defensemen are certainly going to have their work cut out for them. Sogard Jakobsen working hard in front of Skistad, trying to keep that shooting alley clear, but it's pretty tough. You get guys like Butsayev, the size he is, setting up in front of the net. You can see the shot coming up here now. What you can't see is the sight line of the goalie, and believe me, Skistad doesn't really get much of a chance to see that puck coming in from the blue line. You have two red shirts plus either one or two defensemen. Here you go. You can see Jakobsen tying up with his man in front of the net. Skistad getting knocked around in there. Boy, I tell you, it's really heating up. You've got Kovalenko crashing the crease. He's going to take a little break right now, get a little water, get his helmet off so all his friends back home can see it's really him in the net. They can't believe it. He's going to give us a Ken Dryden here for a little bit for the photo session.
3:40 gone in the final period, 2-1 still the score. Just a repair to the strap on the goaltender's helmet.
Took quite a shock. Kovalenko came in crashing in the net there, and you could see his head snap around as Kovalenko came through the crease.
It'll give both teams a chance to relax, and the Norwegians will probably enjoy this the most. It'll give Khmylev a chance to get his leg back into shape, to come back onto the ice. They're desperately in need of players of his caliber.
The Norwegians want to cut this game up as much as possible, but they want to have too many big breaks because they're pretty well concentrated. They're well focused out there. Everybody seems to know what they want to do, and they're playing well as a team. They're really clogging up that middle ice zone. They're not giving anything away at the inside of their blue line. They're not trying to do anything fancy. They're getting the red line, or the middle ice red line, if you will. Dumping the puck in, setting up, trying to create turnovers from the Russian team coming back to the middle, and just overall putting a pretty good, solid defensive game.
We're set now for the face-off here in the third period. Johansson Jamnov. That squirts out over the blue line. Pushed right back into Norwegian territory, and this is the story of the period so far. Zhitnik gets hammered into the corner. The race is on now with Jakobsen. Dahlstrom cleared that away, and that ends up in the corner. Fajali. Another clearance by the Norwegians, and the Russians now with the long pass back up the center. Kovalov dances in the corner. Kovalov brought down, and we've seen that many times. The Norwegians just bringing these guys down. Prokhorov trying to circle, trying to get a shot on goal. Prokhorov feeds it right back. The shot took a deflection off a skate. Prokhorov and Zhitnik and Jamnov working along the boards. That scoots away from Prokhorov. He wants it right back. He doesn't get it. Prokhorov eventually has it go between his skates. That's tipped away, but not out of the zone. A long shot comes in, and that's high. Another pass is backhanded in behind the goal. Prokhorov again. Prokhorov tried to get it out front, and again it hits his skate. He's dropped to the ice. And the Norwegians are just getting in the way of everything out there.
I'll tell you, Petter Solsten's had a great game, as most of the Norwegian defense has. They're just playing rock defense in front of Skjested, and whenever there seems to be a little let-up, Skjested's been there to make the big save. They're really playing well as a team.
A lot of grabbing in the neutral zone and in the Norwegian defensive zone. The shot comes in. Borchevsky getting a piece of it. Borchevsky losing steam, but eventually has a chance at it again. He's held along the boards. You can see the holding at the top of your picture there on the far side of the rink. And the Norwegians getting away with it. Bolden passes it through. That pass goes nowhere. One or two aimless passes from the Russians. That's cleared out quickly for Zubov. The Russians now start out quickly, out over the blue. And again, you see a body falling to the ice. And this time we have a penalty. I think it was just a matter of time before one was called. There's so much holding going on out there. It's like the NHL.
You could see in the center ice zone, I believe it was Thorsen getting caught pulling down the man. And finally, like you say, referee Littnecker has really has let a lot go in this third period. You certainly can't say he has been favoring one team or the other. This is going to be the fifth power play rather for the Russians. They've already scored on one. They've been dangerous, but the Norwegians in the previous power plays have been doing a good job of blocking down the shooting alleys. And let's see if they can make any adjustments here to try to open something up for the big shooters in the blue line.
Yuskiewicz up on the left side, hammers it all the way around to the far side. That's kept in only for a moment. And the Russians have to go back, regroup. Kovalev, who really has a lot of moves, a lot of speed, and a good shot, gives it to Petrenko. Petrenko, Yuskiewicz right on the blue line, working with Petrenko. Back to Yuskiewicz. He takes the shot. And again, they're not getting clear shots on goal. Petrenko squeezed out of the play, hangs on to the puck. Zhamnov is in there to help out. Petrenko trying to get up. And the whistle blows. Karlstad is down on his knees.
I think during the last Olympics, I believe the Norwegian coaching staff probably took a page out of Dave King's book. They didn't have outstanding penalty killing the last time around, ending up 9th in Mirabel with only 83% percentage. I mean, that's the best ones, of course, the Canadians. They only allowed in the whole tournament 2 shorthanded goals. The Norwegians, on the other hand, allowed 7. But I'll tell you, they've been rock solid tonight. There's just been that one goal, and that you certainly couldn't fault them on that. The big shot by Kasparaitis late in the first period. But the Norwegians are certainly doing a good job of shutting down the alleys. They got their sticks on the ice, cutting off the passes coming across, and really not giving the Russians a lot of time or space in the offensive zone to create much.
The puck in the circle eventually comes favorably for the Norwegians. And that's shot all the way down the rink. Prokharov gets round one man, still with Prokharov, gets it up to Bolden. Bolden, a nice little move. Bolden tries to get something going with Prokharov. Prokharov heads towards the corner. Bolden is in there. Now they set it up. 16, Zubov is saying give it up to Malakhov. Malakhov lets the shot go, and that's deflected wide. A lot of shots going towards that net, but not many of them are going the distance. Malakhov got it up on the wing. Going in quickly for it is Prokharov. Prokharov gives it right back. A chance now for the Russians. But that took an unfavorable bounce. Bolden is positioned right in front. Prokharov. Malakhov. Another shot is deflected away. Zubov at the bottom of your screen with 8 seconds on the power play is calling for it. Malakhov fakes the shot, gets it into the circle. Malakhov again. Zubov, a one-timer. And that ends up on the far side of the rink, and the Norwegians clear it out of the zone yet again. They're doing a great job of killing off these penalties. All the way down the ice. They're back at full strength, so that'll be icing.
I'll tell you, Paul, I've really been impressed by the play of the defensemen Sogard and Solsten in this period. They've just been playing nails defense out there. Kim Sogard doing a great job down below the zone there, doing the rotation, getting in front of that puck shooter on the off wing there. It's so important at this stage of the game that you have to have guys out there willing to sacrifice their bodies to give it up, to block those shots for the benefit of the team. And of course, the coach knows who those guys are, and those are the ones you're going to see on the ice in important situations.
Johansson against Butsayev, and the Norwegians win the face-off and get the puck down the ice. Mironov skates quickly after it. Mironov up on the boards, and the Russians now come forward. The flip in by Kovalenko takes a bounce off the boards. Biakin is hammered down to the ice, and if there is a physical battle out there, it's being won by the Norwegians. Pushed away nicely by Johansson. That comes right back to the Russians in the top of the circle, and it's cleared away by Sogard. Mironov gets right back into his own zone and quickly gets it up. The Russians sense that they're running out of time here. They're not standing around, they're getting it forward. Kovalenko, poke check right on the red line. Yushkevich will try it now for the Russians. Barkov, Yushkevich, Boughton. A long pass right up the middle is nice. Korolov had it. That was tipped away at the last moment. Going in is Boughton. He leaves it. Picked up by Kachuk. Kachuk gets it over the return pass. Kachuk can't get the shot away. He's knocked to the ice. Korolov is right in front from a sharp angle. That's in the net.
Cruising in from the point. You got big Sergei Boughton. That's the goal they've been looking for. There's been a lot of pressure on Skistad in there. The Norwegian defense has been going good, but for once they got caught down low and nobody picked up the defenseman coming down. And look at everybody around. You can see 4 white sweaters around there. That means there's a point man open. Here he comes, Boughton in there from a sharp angle. You almost wonder how that puck was able to get in. He was so deep into the zone when that puck was shot. Watch Boughton get himself free off the left post. Look where he's shooting from that puck, from the position he's shooting that puck from. He's only a yard ahead of that the goal line. Up here, you'll really be able to see the sharp angle. Maybe we can figure out where that puck got through. Just under his arm, I believe. Just under his arm and in between his body, and we've got a tie hockey game.
From a different angle, the goaltender looking to his left. He tries to get back to the right. And as you said, Larry, that went in from an impossible angle. 2-2 the score now. That goal for the Russians has taken a long time to come.
Well, I think the lesson that the Russians could take from this is that you have to shoot the puck. How many times in the first period that we thought they were guilty of overpassing, where they had some good chances to shoot, and they're always looking to make that extra pass. Granted, that's the way they play the game a lot of the times, but when that's not working, you have to get back to basics. That comes down to pressure and good shooting. As we said in the third period, there are going to be a lot of shots coming in towards Skistad and a lot of people crashing in the net. But it's not over. The Norwegians, don't count them out yet. They're still struggling.
Zemnov wins the battle in the circle. There is a penalty on the play. The Norwegians are guilty of tripping, and even more pressure will go in their direction. Let's look at this.
Well, it's all the way you look at the game, Paul. I think in a game that's been so hard fought right to right now, that's a bit of a shady penalty. I mean, let's face it, the Russians are masters at letting things go. He felt the pressure. Olsen gets caught this time, pulling down his man, but in a game that's been this tight and this hard fought, it'd be a shame to have something decided on a questionable call like that.
Midway point through the period, and the Norwegians have a man in the box. Tikhonov walking in front of the bench, telling everyone exactly where he wants him to be, when he wants him to be there. Yushkevich gets it over to the far side. And now the power play starts up. Petrenko, great little move by him. He's got Jamnov. Jamnov takes the drop pass. Zhitnik to Jamnov. Zhitnik again, Yushkevich. Yushkevich takes the shot, the save is there. Jamnov right in the crease, waiting for the rebound.
Pretty good tactic here on the part of the Russians. Not going to wait for that perfect play. You've got Juskovic teeing it up right there. You got Jamnov moving in for the rebound. Pretty good angle to see what's going on here. You have a lot of traffic in front of Skistad there, but so important not to give that rebound up. You got Big Ellingson in there doing a good job of holding his man out, clearing that lane so Skistad can see that shot coming in there.
Vajeli looks to be in trouble on the Norwegian bench. He's played some good hockey in this game. Still 10 minutes to go. I'm sure they'll want to keep him in the action. Face-off. Jamnov loses that, and the Norwegians get it as far as the blue. Kept in by Juskiewicz. Juskiewicz strong back on the blue. The loose puck squirts over to the far side. And the Russians set it up again with Petrenko camped out in front. Juskiewicz signals that he wants the one-timer. And again, we see Skistad going down, and the Norwegians, with the goaltender coming way out of the cage, get it out of the zone and get it down the ice.
Great move by Skistad. It was a pretty bold move. I don't think the Russians were looking for that one there. They expect that type of thing from the types like Hextall of the Canadians, but Skistad sort of something there. A lot of confidence in his play, a lot of confidence in his partners being able to get that puck out after he chipped it up the boards.
Prokhorov from the side of the net. This guy's got a lot of moves. He's dangerous around the back of that goal. Prokhorov again, all the way back to the blue line. The shot comes in. That's deflected away. Kachuk got a piece of that. Bilkbaum bringing his man down. Jamnov trying to hang on to him. Zubov gets it over. Zubov pumps it into the circle. Zubov again walking along the blue line. The return pass over to Jamnov isn't a good one. He can't hang on to it. Zubov still with Zubov. Now with Jamnov. He takes the shot. That took a deflection. Another bite at the cherry. The backhander steered away, and the Norwegians are back at full strength. They've killed off yet another penalty as that goes along the board. Still not out of the zone. Kovalov is being muscled and eventually frozen against the woodwork. Face off again in Norwegian territory.
You have to admire the courage of the Norwegians. They're paying the price out there. You see how many times, this time it was Jacobson paying the price going down in front of that shot by Jamnov. Jamnov lucky enough to pick up the rebound, came in the backhand, but Skistad watches the whistle past the post. And so many times tonight where the Russians have been all over the Norwegians, but for one reason or other, the puck's just not going in the net. And boy, you have to admire the Norwegians' courage in this game. No matter what happens, boy, I tell you, they can be proud of what they've done here tonight.
Bolden takes a swipe on it. Zubov has a chance to let the shot go. It comes from the other side. Skistad goes down, and it's starting to get physical in front of the net. The sticks are going in as the clock ticks down. Perhaps a little frustration coming out on behalf of the Russians. They really want to get another goal here. They don't care by how much they win it. It's got down to the point they just need to win it. A lot of national pride is at stake here. A loose puck. Skistad got a stick in there, and the Norwegians again happy just to dump it out of the zone.
You know, one thing we're going to have to look at seriously when we're done with this competition here, I'm sure all the trainers will be talking about, is the fact what has been the emotional state of the players after coming off the Olympic Games. You take a look at the Russians who played so well all through the Olympics. They had a program set from last spring gearing up to that. Then after that, what do you do? Well, I'm sure there'll be some questions asked of everybody, and it'll be certainly a topic that'll be discussed amongst all the people in the higher echelons of hockey. Having the very first time they had the World Championships and the Olympics in the first year, to see how it's affected the teams physically and mentally.
We know that the Americans and the Canadians are having problems getting class players over here. A lot of guys will come over who can just sit on the bench, but they want to get some names and they want to get some really good players, but they're not getting a response. The invitations are going out, but no one is replying.
Well, it's a long season, and you take into consideration you had a Canada Cup, and all of a sudden you're going through the season, you go along to the regular season National Hockey League, you got an 80-game season. Then you look at the playoffs, which is just it's so physically demanding. Everybody comes out of that just like you've gone through a threshing machine. And boy, the last thing you want to do is go spend 2 weeks in Czechoslovakia, again going into a real physical, hard-fought series.
The Russians now putting on the pressure. Kasparidis backhands at it in the corner. And the Norwegians have gone into a shell here in this third period. They're just happy to do just that. And that's all they've been doing throughout the period. No real action around the Russian net. Trefilov really hasn't been called on to do much at all. Butseyev takes the shot, not a great one from him. And we'll have another face-off in Norwegian territory.
I think the Russians are going to try to turn up the heat here coming down. You see the big winger coming in here. Butseyev didn't get much on the shot. I think he had second thoughts. He thought he was originally going to shoot, maybe look for a pass, and then he did neither. Didn't shoot it or pass it.
(2-2) the score. This game is coming to you live from Bratislava. Barkov and Tornson. The Norwegians throwing everything into it. Barkov tries to get his stick out from under Tornson to grab the puck, but the whistle blows before he can do that. That's how much the Norwegians have committed themselves to this game. They really are going for every face-off, every hit, grabbing on and holding as much as they can.
They've been doing a great job defensively off the face-offs, and we have had quite a few face-offs in the Norwegian zone tonight, and the Russians are just noted for that, the prowess off the face-offs and developing plays immediately after a one face-off in the offensive zone, but they just haven't had that many face-offs tonight in the offensive zone.
This game is going to drain both sets of players out there. It seems to be going on forever. It's well over 2 hours and 15 minutes on my watch. Barkov being tied up. A chance now for the Russians. Getting it right out front. Barkov on the far side with Biakin cruising in front of the goal. Another icing call. And Korolev will put his helmet back on and possibly go for a well-deserved break.
Korolev getting his baptism, so to speak, in an international competition at this level. He wasn't with this team during the Olympic Games, but they called him in to replace one of the 4 players that is no longer with the team. He's done a pretty good job, but he certainly has to be disheartening coming into a team that's struggling right now, and when you're a new player coming into a group that's had a lot of success, all of a sudden it's not doing that well. All of a sudden people start pointing the fingers, and a lot of the times it comes to the new guy. But he's doing his job.
Pushed into the neutral zone, batted back into Russian territory. Biakin is calling for it. That's tipped up onto the left side, and Zhamnov takes it forward. Korolev is following him. Zhamnov gets it right in front. Yoshkiewicz pushes it back into the corner, back to Yoshkiewicz. He gets it back in front of the net. And again, we see the pressure coming from the Russians. There's a chance, the shot, they score, but did the whistle blow? The Russians are going over to the referee. He already blew the whistle, perhaps a little prematurely.
I personally heard the whistle before the puck went in. We'll have to see how he's calling that. By the way that the Russians are jumping around in the zone, I do believe, in fact, I don't believe anything anymore, Paul. I'm not going to make any predictions. But you can see that the net is definitely off its moorings. You can see it's a great shot, great angle, man, there by the cameraman. Thanks, guys. You can see exactly what happened.
Excellent effort by Zhamnov here on the second attempt. He puts it in, but the net is off its moorings.
Big Johansson backing in there was the one knocked it off its moorings. Could be a game saver. We're just discussing now where they're going to have the face-off.
Face-off will be in Norwegian territory. Bolden out there yet again with Prokhorov. Tikhonov has worked this line to death. Prokhorov has not stopped skating, unable to put the puck in the net though, along with just about everybody else on the team. Only the defensemen Kasparidis and Boughton have been able to score.
The four-line rotation's gone out the window here in this third period, all taking off Helsinki's survival right now. He needs his 2 points.
Boughton, a big hit there. And the Russians trying to get a few passes together as Bolden comes down the left side. Bolden is taken out of the play, gives up the puck. And that comes to the far side. His shot comes in. Shistad goes down. Malakhov picks it up. Malakhov with a lot of room. Malakhov allowed to go right through the circle. A shot. Shistad is down on his knees, and eventually the Norwegians shoot it down into the neutral zone and down the ice. The heads are down again. This is, as I said before, a very, very tiring game. 4 minutes and 6 seconds remaining. There's the score line. If you've just joined us, yes, that is the score line. The Norwegians have gone into a shell here, and they're just defending. They have gone down the ice a couple of times, and on those occasions they've scored goals.
Big play there by the Norwegian defense. Anderson had lost a stick, and you have a man without a stick in the zone. You're effectively playing almost a 4 against 5, so it was a smart play. Just take that puck and ice it down there, let everybody get regrouped, get a face-off, possibly change the lines. That's a smart hockey play.
From the face-off, it goes back behind Shistad, and Norway try to bring it out. Going into the corner is Jakobsen, working with Dahlstrom, and the Russians have to go deep, regroup, and try it again. Mironov. The whistle was long overdue on that play.
Have you ever had one of those nights, Paul, where just things don't seem to be happening the way you want them to? I'm sure Viktor Tikhonov's thinking that right now. Boy, you got guys set up for, the one-time shots. The puck's just bouncing as it gets to your blade of your stick. Pucks are going off the ends of toes, or things aren't clicking. And geez, when things start sliding one way, it just seems to take something to get it turned back the other way. Right now, things are going pretty much the way of the Norwegians, and the Russians are really shaking their heads, thinking, what do we have to do to get this thing turned around?
I think it's fair to say that when a really classy team is playing a team that isn't that good, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Norwegians, it is difficult for the stylish team that likes to throw the pass around to get their game together, because as you say, it does bounce off of bodies, arms are out, people are grabbing, a wraparound, the shot comes in, Shistad goes down, and the Russian player slaps the ice. Frustration showing all over the team, but it is difficult to play against a fairly unorthodox team.
The strongest point, you can see the backhand shot coming in here, everybody coming in to pile up. Big shot, Butsayev coming around on the backhand here, but nothing going. But as we were saying, what's happening, one of the strongest parts of the Russian game is their counterattacking game from deep in their own zone and from just inside their blue line on lost pucks. And what's happening is the Norwegians are not getting caught deep into the offensive zone. They're plugging up the middle so much that the Russians aren't getting anything coming back to the middle ice. They have no speed coming into the offensive zone. The Norwegians are waiting for them. They're able to hook and clutch and grab and chip and do whatever they have to do to get the pucks, and just chipping it back out of the middle, plug it up again.
Some time being taken on this face-off, and eventually Biakin goes in to take over from Barkov. A chance for Biakin. Biakin slips that one wide. Barkov goes in after his man, and that's dumped all the way around, and Malakhov tries to keep it in. He does. The puck is nestling on the blue line, and eventually it comes out. Pushed right back into Norwegian territory. Shistad gets it off the plexi, but Barkov picks it up. Barkov into Korolov. Korolov pinned against the boards by Ellingson. Aggie Ellingson has played a fine game out there. He really has prevented the Russians from doing what they want to do. Ellingson goes deep, rattles it off the plexi, and gets it all the way down the ice. Yoshkiewicz wants it. Shafilov hands it to him, and back comes the big defenseman. Yoshkiewicz going down on the left wing is only able to flip it into the zone, and the Norwegians will take the opportunity to get it out of the zone. That's been the story so far. Zhitnik to the far side. Zhamnov takes the head man and goes up over the blue, over the red. Zhamnov building up a bit of speed, tries to feed it into the middle. Korvalov gets it right across the front of the goal. That comes back to the goal. Belgian takes the shot, and that's wide of the target. Zhitnik puts it in, and the crowd here, as the clock ticks down, are sensing another unusual result. Coming in, Korvalov takes the shot. That goes high. Skistad saw it all the way.
What an end of the game we have here now, Paul. This is what it's coming down to. This is high drama. Big shot right here, in tight. Looks like one of the Norwegians got down in front of it, deflected it up over the top. And that big sigh of relief you hear out there, Skistad was building up for this shot right there. You can see Cato Tom Anderson getting down his body, sacrificing himself again for the team. These guys are showing a lot of courage out there and a lot of heart.
Face off at the top of the circle in the Norwegian zone. Thorsen goes up against Bolden. The referee having words with the Norwegian. Dahlstrom on the wing being told to get out of there. Physically being pushed back. The Norwegians aren't paying any attention to the referee or the linesman. They really want to get this one over. They want to come up with a 2-2 result. Trefilov taps it forward. A minute and a half remaining on the game. Malakhov up on the wing. Bolden goes for a skate, gets it across. The Russians throwing everyone forward now. A chance as they bring it in front of the goal. And that's in the net. Skistad is beaten. 3-2 is the score. And a sigh of relief comes over the Russian bench. Let's look at this again.
For once, you catch the Norwegian defense backing in, and it's Igor Bolden gets the final touch on that with the put it past Skistad. Look at him drive to the net. Oh, that's really unfortunate for the Norwegian defense. They're just not quite big enough and strong enough to hold these guys off. You can see the Norwegian defenseman trying to get in his face as Bolden drives to the net, but he just gets in behind him, gets his stick on it just enough to tap it past Skistad. 3-2, and that's a real heartbreaker for the Norwegians. They really deserve better than this.
Well, Skistad put the glove out, but was unable to grab the touch from Bolden. There's the goal scorer. And will that be enough to win it for the Russians? 3-2. Very little time on the clock here in the third period. Meetings at both benches here in the final few seconds, and what do you do now? You must pull your goalie if you can get the puck in the Russian zone, but when is the last time these guys have had the puck in their zone?
Well, this is it. They've been playing tight defense and dump the puck out and kill the game. So far it's good. How do you get cranked it back up all of a sudden? You get a goal scored on you like that, just lets the steam right out of everything that's on the bench there, and all of a sudden you've got to get the boys cranked up to play offense again. It's a pretty tough situation.
Skistad will be looking to Bengt Olsen on the bench. Instructions from him as to whether to come out or not. That puck is shot in as far as the hash marks, and the Russians now looking to increase on their lead. Kovalenko can't break that one down. Mironov slows the play in the neutral zone, gets it as far as the red line, and that's pushed forward. Dahlstrom, Trefilov comes out. Kachuk. And that goes all the way down the ice. Icing is the call, and you can see that Skistad is out of his cage. An extra attacker is in there, and they have the face-off in Russian territory, so it's all set up for one last chance for the Norwegians.
Well, let's hope that the Norwegians have got one more rabbit left in their hat. Bengt Olsen, I'm sure, is going to set something up here. A lot of times you have set plays. We have a set play off of this type of situation when it works, and that's not very often because we often don't get that chance to have the situation where you're down by goals and you have to pull your goalie and you get a face-off in the offensive zone. But you definitely have to have a plan going in. You have to know what everybody's going to do. Most of the time you want to get a puck going back to the defenseman, somebody, at least one or two players driving in the net, create a little confusion.